Hi, it's Jared Roney from Advantage Feeders. I'm the founder and owner, and it's been great to come over and support Dairy Direct, our island distributors. What we're going to do shortly is run through the most common questions we've been asked at the ploughing. One of the main questions we've been asked is, how's the feeder actually work? We've heard from neighbours and other people that it's a great system and it works on saliva, but how's it actually work? And simply, the feed, it's quite unique. The feed doesn't sit in the trough. It actually sits in this licking area here. So the animal needs saliva on the tongue to put it into this area and get it to stick and come back into their mouth. And after about 5 minutes of licking, their saliva reduces and the tongue becomes dry and they can't physically get the feed to stick and come back in their mouth. So they have to go away grazing for an hour or so, come back with saliva on their tongue, another 5 minutes of licking, and in that 5 minutes, we're aiming for them, say a calf, to get half a glass. And what we're building here is a system where they get half a glass 10 times a day. So we're creating this little and often system that's really good for rumen production. The next main question we're being asked is, what can you feed through it? Is it pellets or coarse ration? And the answer is, you can actually do both. And they're both quite successful. One thing to keep in mind is the settings on the lower adjuster and upper adjuster are going to be a little bit different for each. And the other thing to be mindful of when we're talking about pellets, a really hard pellet and 5mm diameter works really good. If that pellet has got a lot of dust in the ration, it becomes a bit more challenging with cleaning it. So sometimes that's where a coarse ration is a little bit easier. But in brief, a nice hard pellet is very good at controlling the ration. The next question we'll look at is, how do we make sure they're eating the right amount? Or if they're eating too much or too little, what do we do about it? So, example, calf situation, the target is a kilogram a day and they're eating 1.3 kilograms a day. So they're eating a little bit too much. And in this example, we've got the feeder on the lower adjuster set at 4 with the cams. And if we look at the upper adjuster handles at the end of the feeder, we've also got this at position 4. So as we said before, they're eating a fraction too much. What do? Get the tube spanner out and we trial a new position. So we're trying to reduce the ration by about 30% to get it down to a kilogram. So that might mean reducing the upper and lower adjuster to 3.5 each. So first of all, we take out the adjuster guard, this white part. Then we loosen the locking bolts on all 4 cams. So it's just a half a turn. It's important not to do it too much. We can't have feed going under this lower adjuster. And then we can use the tube spanner on the extrusion here and tweak it up. So between 3 and 4, we've got position 3.5. So we can go along and adjust them up nicely. And after we've done that, we tighten the locking bolts. Next step is putting the adjuster guard back in. So I've had a lot of practice, but it clips in one end and then we slide it down. And then it clips in this end down here. So that's the lower adjuster reset, and the upper adjuster on this end, we've got position 4 here and 3, and we've got 2 triangles showing here, and we want to move to 3.5. So it's simply moving this halfway in between. And I'm going to do the other end now. So that's all set now. So we've made a slight adjustment to the feed access area with the aim of reducing that ration Now we'll keep an eye on how much they actually consume, make sure we get that ration to what we're trying to achieve. Another question that's come up quite frequently is how do we reduce the amount of cleaning? Some people have experienced where it's become daily cleaning, and the feeders aren't a silver bullet. We do need to maintain them, but we can overcome this challenge by changing how the feeders set. So the first step is where the clogging's happening, and that's in this licking area here. So we need to make sure it doesn't clog up too much there and the feed keeps flowing. So particularly with a coarse ration, the first step will be to open up the upper adjuster a fraction and allow more of it to flow in this area. So I'm just going to open this up to from position 4 to position 6. And I'll come to the other end now. So what that does, it helps the feed flow down higher in this area. So that would be probably the easiest first step. If it's still causing an issue, we've designed our white adjuster guard to have two functions. So we can see first of all this part has got a smooth edge coming into the feed access area. I'm going to just take off the adjuster guard now and we rotate that 180 degrees. And if we put it back in now, what it does is it completely covers off the feed access area. So obviously we need to change that. And the way we go about that is by opening the lower adjuster cam. So I'm just going to reposition this and go back a step. This flange here on the adjuster guard is exactly 3 on the cam. So it's originally set at 3, and so we're changing it to 6 to have the same gap. Just undoing the locking bolts, spinning it around. Alright, and here we go. We'll drop the lower adjuster to position 6. Going to quickly tighten up the locking bolts. And then put the adjuster guard back in position with the flange on the upside. So in effect, this gap where the tongue's going in is at position 3 when it's spun around. So why this works so well is now the dust combined with the saliva that stops the flow under the upper adjuster needs to be maybe 4 or 5 times in volume to stop the flow. So it keeps the flow happening without blocking. So what it can mean for you is instead of having to clean once a day, it could be once every 4 or 5 days. And the final note, I suppose, is to not be afraid to adjust the feeder. I've had quite a lot of comments about how people have received the feeder and they've been a bit concerned about changing the upper and lower adjuster over time. And it's really important. The feeder is not a silver bullet. It can't be just put out and feed the desired amount over a long period of time. And the main reason why that is when we put, like for instance, calves at grass when they're 3 months of age, to achieve a 1 kilogram a day ration out of this licking area, the settings are going to be different to that calf at the end of the year when they're 9 or 10 months of age. It's going to be a lower setting because that calf is now physically bigger, the tongue's bigger, they produce more saliva, they can access the feed out of here. So it's going to be more closed up compared to when that calf has been put at grass. So just to recap, don't be afraid to use the adjusters. Don't be afraid to call Dairy Direct to get some input onto where you should set the feeder and how to adjust it. Thanks.